Hi everyone, it's Rachel and Anthony.
Hello.
From Don't Crop Me Now. It's the 28th of April and we are going to do our next plot tour. Let's start in the greenhouse on 5B, and there's a little bit going on in here. Most notably, that was yesterday we brought down our chili plants that have been under lights at home, and they are looking really strong this year. Last year we had problems with aphids at this time of year, but this year they're looking absolutely brilliant. We've also got a number of different flowers and vegetables started within this greenhouse. So we have lots of lupins. We actually collected them from Save Seed and we will be selling them on to raise money for our community plot. We also have quite a few different types of brassicas. The onions that were sown from seed were in this greenhouse, but they don't really like the heat, and we are starting to get some good sun now. So we put those out in the cold frames and we'll have a look at those. We have sown a lot of bean seeds, but none of them are starting to pop through. They only went in this week. Other things that we've got in this greenhouse is lots of leeks that have been sown in one pot and will need pricking out. A number of little bundles of chive seeds, and I'm planning to put them out on plot 5B and create a sort of border with chives. They were sown from Save Seed from some of our chive plants at home. We have some strawberries in here that came through with another purchase that I made from a big seed supplier, and I'm going to put them in grown in some sort of hanging way. I haven't quite decided how that's going to work. And we do have some early sowings of parsley and coriander. Let's have a look in these cold frames. So most of the onions are within the cold frames. Usually would have had them out maybe about 2 weeks ago, but the weather has just been chucking it down with rain all the time and still quite cold. But they're in here just so they don't get too hot. Other things that we have got in these cold frames is a massive load of strawberry runners that we will be creating a new strawberry bed for on plot 4, and some sweet peas and broad beans. The cutting area is coming on nicely, and we have started separating out some of these various fruit cuttings. A lot of these now will be into their second season, so it's the perfect time to put them into individual pots, and we will leave them for at least another year before we grow them on to actually plant them out as fruit bushes or trees. So as an example here, this is a fig tree cutting that we have replanted into an individual pot. Most of our fruit trees have flowered really well, and there are some tiny little pears that are set on this conference tree, which is brilliant. Leaving some plants to flower at this time of year is always brilliant for pollinators, and hopefully you can see there are lots of bees buzzing around these purple sprouting broccoli plants. That we picked a few, but then the wet weather set them to go over, but the bees are enjoying these beautiful yellow flowers. And plot 5B overall is looking pretty tidy. There's not much in here. We've got this one sort of perennial flower bed, and the rest of the annual vegetable beds have been manured over, but we do need to spread this out further and stamp this down for our no-dig process. Other than that, we're still a little bit behind because of the weather, and the last frost dates are usually around mid-May here in South Manchester, so we tend not to plant out too much until closer to that period. Now on to plot 4, and this area, the sort of patio area on plot 4, certainly isn't the tidiest at the moment. We've got a few little projects here that we started off and we haven't finished. We have got this wooden sort of contraption that actually came out of our greenhouse at home. It was down actually as a path. We are going to put this together and create a cube that we will fill with sand and try to grow some good show carrots. We started to do that and then we ran out of screws, and it sat here for the last couple of weeks and we haven't got on to finishing that. We also need to do a little bit of tidying up, as you can see behind. We've got in the background quite a few sort of stones that have come from that greenhouse project at home. We have been putting some of those in on the plot, but we still need to finish that, and there's a few piles around the place. We need to get onto these hanging baskets. Some of them have still got plants in from last year. Some of these are actually strawberries, and then this sort of seating area will look a little bit better, and hopefully that will happen over the next couple of weeks. A few more plants left for pollinators here. There's some more brassica plants. I'm not sure that I'm going to save the seeds from these ones because they will set seed, because I saved so much brassica seeds last year. We've got plenty, but I am planning to allow these leeks to flower and save the seed from them. They are are also incredibly ornamental. They're very, very beautiful plant, like better than some flowers. So I'm going to leave these in, and we have tried to start using this area by planting in some early salad crops. We've got some lettuce, some radish and some spinach around here. The slugs have had a good go at them, to be honest, but we will be using this bed more as a sort of salad bed moving forward. So I wanted to try and use that space around these plants that we've decided to leave in. We're really pleased with the new pond and how it's looking. That fountain definitely needs a bit of a clean out, but it's going really well in this sun. So this main area, which I'm going to plant up with some more sort of like wild plant ponds, is looking really clear and really good. And the little area that's got the 2 goldfish on the end, they're definitely still alive, so I think all is going well. The apple blossom is at its absolute peak now, really, at this time of year, and it's really pretty. The bulbs that myself and my mum put in around Christmas did a reasonable show. There was quite a lot of flowers on those, and hopefully over the years they will build up. We've got our raspberries in the background, and those raspberries are just starting to come through. The clematis that climbs up this frame is definitely still alive. It needs tying back in though. And the strawberries are making a really good spring show. They have started to flower in some cases, and they're looking really healthy. We are going to put another strawberry bed in that's also going to be on the plot near the patio area, but this is now into its, is it a 2nd or 3rd season? I think it might be this 2nd season now, so this plants should have a decent yield for us. Our little wall that we built around this lavender, I think looks pretty neat. I'm like pretty happy with that, and the lavender is just starting to grow, and I think this will look really nice when it starts to flower. We haven't got anything in our little capsule bed just there, but we're going to be using that capsule bed for carrots. The sheep's fleece that we put around the dahlia seems to have done a really good job, actually. So what we will need to do as the next stage is to pull that off the dahlia plants to allow them to start to emerge. I am going to probably have a sneak peek, I think, over the next week or so, but I won't be uncovering them until we get through to that point of last frost, that mid-May point for us, because they are very frost tender plants. Then hopefully this frame's still looking very sturdy, so I don't think we're going to have to do much on this dahlia bed except from move that fleece on and let those plants start growing. The rhubarb plants are in their element at this time of year. We have picked a little bit of rhubarb because we had a family get together a couple of weekends ago, and we took loads down and had like a massive rhubarb crumble for the whole family, which was brilliant. Actually putting these rootstock plants that are in tubs within the bed, I initially just sort of stuck them there to get them out of the way, but I'm actually started thinking it's quite a neat way to store them because they're out of the way. They otherwise would take up quite a lot of large volume, and the rhubarb plants seem to be quite happy just growing around them, so I'm quite pleased with that choice. In the background we have got the asparagus, which we have had one picking from. It's looking pretty good. The sheep's fleece has done a good job there as well. This frame is proving to be an absolute pain in the bottom. It's definitely not sturdy enough. We keep having to put that back together, but we don't really have another option. I think we're just going to have to keep that going as much as we can, but in the long term we might need to look at something that is a little bit more sturdy to protect that asparagus. And we have just managed to plant our potatoes again a couple of weeks late, but you know, we've been very busy with the various allotment management stuff and also the weather. But the allotment potatoes are now in. We've got 3 varieties for this year. We have got the Charlottes, which we often grow as they are actually second early, but we tend to eat them as early potatoes. Behind me we have got a load of Picasso. Again, they're a second early potato, but they grow quite big and we tend to use them as a main crop and store them. And then the next one we're growing is a new variety to us, which is called Jazzy. We were actually sent them by the seed supplier because we'd ordered International Kidney, which grows for the Jersey Royal potatoes. We tend to grow them quite often, but unfortunately they didn't have any of those and they sent us these Jazzy potatoes instead. It's interesting to see that there's a few other allotment YouTube people that are actually growing Jazzy for the first time as well. We saw that Dan from Allotment Diary was trying Jazzy, and apparently, as he said, that they grow lots and lots of small potatoes. So let's see, that was a replacement for our International Kidney, the Jersey Royals. Let's see how we get along with those later in the season. We have planted a kiwi vine. So I always like to try something a little bit different. And since we put this in, which cost quite a bit of money really, and it was a present for a birthday a couple of years ago, we haven't really got down to getting something that's like really interesting growing on it, which was my actual idea. So I bought this kiwi vine. I do understand that they are very vigorous in growth, so I'm expecting it to potentially cover most of this support structure. It's a variety called Jenny, which is a female only variety that is to grow in colder conditions like the UK, and apparently that it does set fruits well outdoors. So fingers crossed, that see how Jenny the kiwi will get on. The rest of these beds are just about ready for planting. There's not really much in. We do have some parsnips that we put in here that we sowed in toilet rolls to start off with. They look like most of them are still alive. I will take this fleece off. I just haven't got round to doing it. I mean, parsnips are relatively hardy, so they should manage a sort of light frost. It shouldn't really be a problem. And now down to our capsule beds. Really pleased with these actually. I think they look really neat. We did manage to get some free bark chipping to put around this area. I don't know about other people, but we are having problems getting deliveries really of free bark chippings, which we used to get regularly to the allotment. So this was someone that had bought the bark chippings there for their home address and had some left over, and we went and sort of bagged them up. So it wasn't a large amount, but it was enough to do the ground around this area, because we disturbed the ground quite a lot in putting these beds in. And really pleased, they look really great. So these are onions that will go to seed, and again we are going to be using that for collecting the seed, but I wanted to try and in the main concentrate the seed collection area closer together, so we get less of the seeds spreading everywhere, just to make the sort of maintenance of the allotment easier. But these are onions, they look really good. These are global onions that we grew from last year, and I'm just allowing them to go to seed. I know from Charles Darwin videos that he collected this, that he said you had to have at least 8 onions together for pollination. So we have got 10, I think, within this bed, so hopefully that'll be okay. We have got parsnips and carrots in here, which we transplanted into there. They will then grow on to give us that seed. And the other 2 beds are our garlic, which is looking really healthy actually, which is good, really good at this time of year. Behind me, we have one of our composting structures. This is actually full of at least 12-month-old leaf mulch that needs another 12 months on really to get really good. And it's used a little bit for storage at the moment. A lot of our frames are sort of stacked up on here, but I want to try and use this as a growing area because it's got a lid on anyway. So my idea is I'm going to put 2 very large pots in here. I've got one of them in there already, and I'm going to grow some ornamental gourd plants up and over here, because I'm hoping to make some Christmas ornaments from them. So they're like bottle gourds, but they're smaller ones. And the plan is that I'm going to make those into fancy little snowmen and things for Christmas. That's my idea anyway. So I'm going to put them into pots and then put some sort of trellis, probably not these ones because these are the potato trellises, but some sort of trellis, so they climb up and over and grow on the top of this area, so we utilise this space for growing as well. A lot of the spring bulbs are coming to an end now. We have to have a minimum of a 3-foot flower bed on the front of our plots. That's part of the allotment tenancy rules. I do need to tidy up in this bed. There's a lot of stuff in here actually that should come through for summer, but I definitely want to take a few things out. It needs a bit of a weed around, but I think in order to do that, and I want to mulch over this area, I think I'm going to tie up the tops of the daffodils so I can get into the sort of clumps of the flowering perennials, so I can mulch around with some compost. You definitely don't need to tie up your daffodils as a way to let them sort of die back down again. It's just that it will make it easier for me to be able to physically get in there and identify where the plants are. So a lot of the weeds are pretty small at the moment, but remember folks, they do not stay small at this time of year for very long. We need to get onto these compost bins and get them turned, and at the moment we've got 3 ones, 1 full and 2 sort of nearly full, and we need to try and get this all into 2 so we actually have 1 empty compost bay to start putting things in the spring. I haven't been too organised about this over the winter, so we definitely need to get onto that. The fruit cage is actually looking pretty good. There's quite a lot of weeds around the patio stones. I haven't managed that yet, so I need to look at that, but there's definitely some flowering starting in here. The blueberries particularly are looking really good. I think we should get another good crop of them this year. The orchard area on 2B is looking really nice. We've got more apple trees here. This is a pear. Again, lots of lovely little pears on here. And the fig tree, which had a really hefty prune to it, is definitely a much better shape. We have weeded a little bit around this area. It needs another sort of mulch of bark chippings. We do have another 7 or 8 large bags of chippings that we've collected. So we will use that predominantly on this area to try and make sure the weeds stay down on those paths. A couple of weeks ago, we grafted these 2 pear tree cuttings onto this tree. We were given these by a fellow plot holder. It's a little bit late in the season to do it, but he had them left over. And I thought, you know what? It's no loss, is it? We'll just give it a go. Not sure if they have taken yet because they haven't started to grow, but they don't look like they're dying, so let's watch this space. We definitely need to tidy up in here. It's been used for a lot of storage, but there are some really cool things. The apricot has set a reasonable number of fruits again. Hopefully, last year we only got about 5 apricots and I only ate 2 because they dropped off when we were on holiday. So let's see if we get any more. We have this grapevine which is going to need planting. It's going to go in that corner over there so it can be trained up the metalwork of the polytunnel. We need to plant that. And a lot of the other stuff that we've got in here is storage. But we did set off some really early new potatoes and they're looking really good actually. So there's 4 small pots. They're just about 10 litre pots. So they won't be ready for probably another 7 or 8 weeks, I should imagine yet. But let's see, they are growing quite well. And let's see what crop we get. Hope you guys have enjoyed that tour and that your plots are coming on well wherever you are. We are going to be off and out because it's actually my birthday this weekend and we are going to go out for a meal. But if you've enjoyed this video, please do like, comment and subscribe because it really helps our channel. Bye everyone.
Bye.